Okay, so this phone has caused me entirely too many problems over the past couple months, so I finally want to get on here and talk to you guys about it. As everyone knows at this point, Apple is not that great when it comes to right to repair. They don't want you repairing your things at all, and if they are repairable, you have to take them to Apple, and Apple has to have the Apple technicians work on them. Other than that, the devices won't work properly. You still can self-service a lot of stuff, but even like the MacBooks, you can't change the storage or the memory on them. It's just soldered on there, and they pretty much just tell you to throw it away. Just throw it away. You can't fix it. So this is my iPhone 13. It's about 3 years old. Whenever they launched, I got one. I don't get a new phone constantly, so this phone's a couple years old, and the battery started getting really horrible. By noon every day, the battery would get down to like 20%. So I figured it's time for a battery. So I go on Amazon, I scroll a little bit, I find a aftermarket battery, decent reviews, I buy it. Believe it or not, the battery really isn't the root of this issue. So I got out a heat gun to heat around the edge of the screen to melt the adhesive, and it was not an excess amount of heat at all. I've opened devices before. The gun on low, and I was slowly going around the perimeter of the phone, whenever randomly, the entire phone just became rainbow colored. The whole display shattered. So it was at that point that I had to also order a screen for the phone. Now that's probably my fault, to be honest, but that's not the reason for the video. But the screens are kind of hard to take out of the way. Even for a battery repair, you still risk breaking your screen. Not the topic of today's video, but yeah, the screen shattered just from me trying to use the heat gun. So I changed the battery, I changed the screen, all that fun stuff. However, in the process of changing the battery and the screen, I messed up and I tore the proximity sensor flex cable. Now this was 100% my fault, because basically the proximity sensor is attached to the display, and the aftermarket display did not come with one, so you have to peel it up and move it. I didn't peel it up properly, I ripped it in half. So over to Amazon I went, and I bought a replacement for that. So the repairs for this phone are just stacking up at this point, but I promise you this is the last thing I had to order. So I get this aftermarket proximity light sensor thing, which is kind of up here. It includes your speaker and your proximity sensor and a couple other things. So the speaker on it's brand new as well. So I put it on the phone, the earpiece speaker works, and all that stuff, and the phone works as it should. New display, new battery, new flex cable, all is well. Allow me to be the bearer of bad news and say that all, in fact, was not well. Probably every 10 to 20 minutes, the phone would have the Apple logo appear and restart, and restart, and restart, and restart. And sometimes it would make it a whole 2 days, and then I'd think that it was fine, and then it would restart again. So allow me to explain how Apple phrases the situation. They say that if you're experiencing resets like this, and you scan for codes, that exact code is for either a faulty flex cable, or they say that it is a aftermarket one that is not compatible, etc., etc. When in reality, we can almost all agree that this is Apple just being Apple. Because in the settings of this phone, it says aftermarket display, aftermarket battery, which is fine, because if I ever sell this phone, now people know what they're getting, whatever. But even the earpiece speaker, proximity light sensor flex cable is a major issue in Apple devices. I've known people who've gotten their screens replaced, and the repair shop sort of ripped the cable on the proximity sensor, which, yes, if it's damaged, it'll do the same thing. So they got their screen replaced, then they got their phone, and it kept restarting, and then they replaced the piece after that. The proximity sensor in this one, like I said, it's from Amazon. It is not a Apple genuine part. That is the biggest takeaway here. I can pretty much guarantee you that this part, functionality-wise, is fine. However, just because it's not an Apple part, Apple's almost sort of locking you out of the ecosystem and forcing you to go get your stuff repaired with them. Even stuff like True Tone, which adjusts the color of your display depending on the colors that are around you, gets disabled if you replace your screen by yourself. And then the battery tracker functionality to track your battery health and all that, that also gets disabled if you replace your battery by yourself. And I know that this isn't just a faulty part. This is a much bigger issue than this, because I know multiple people who have experienced this issue, and for whatever reason, this flex cable is mainly the culprit. Apple does not want you changing their devices, and they do not want you using aftermarket parts. It throws the same error code that it would give if the flex cable got wet or damaged. But because of how widespread I know that this is, because I've talked to people who've had the same issue, this is just Apple just being horrible when it comes to right to repair. It'd be fine if it just put a little warning on your screen, just like, hey, you have a non-Apple genuine flex cable, just like they do for the battery and the screen. I mean, I could live with that. No. For the flex cable, they literally randomly turn off your phone. I've missed alarms because of this. Just for a little bit of context, I have gotten it fixed recently so that I can actually use my phone because it was horrible. However, I've missed alarms because of this. I've gotten phone calls dropped because of this. I've been using, Apple CarPlay to see, on the maps where I'm going, and my phone shut down in the middle of drives. And Apple has no excuse for this. This is just genuinely them locking out aftermarket parts. So I don't know if I'm going to post this or not. It's just a little rant that I wanted to go out and say. If I do, obviously I posted it. If not, I didn't. But yeah, Apple sucks when it comes to right to repair. They don't want you to fix your stuff, and if you do, they penalize you. And I just really wanted to put that out there for anyone who doesn't know or anyone who has experienced this to be able to sympathize a little bit, because this sucks. Because you try to fix something that you own to make it last a little longer so that you don't buy a, new $800, $900, $1,000 phone, and then they just randomly shut down your phone and boot loop it because of a non-genuine part. It's just very strange overall. I don't know why they would do it. Maybe the phone actually recognizes it as a faulty part, but there's a lot of, serial numbers and stuff on Apple's part that they're just not letting it recognize the part properly. If anyone else has experienced something similar, please drop a comment just to sort of put that out there. I know one person personally that's had this exact issue, and I found a couple accounts online. Please, if you've had a similar issue where you tried to repair your Apple device and then just all hell broke loose, please leave a comment. That Apple stance on right to repair is just not where it needs to be. So, quick and dirty video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. That's all from me. I'm out. Peace.